And I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Oli Brown. How you keeping, dude?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. I'm all good. Obviously, as we we're going to do a bit of a takeover show for your new EP Prologue. So we're going to be taking over and celebrating the release. You've been kind enough to send it across so I can have a listen to it. Man, it's another epic from you, mate. It's sounding absolutely brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, man.
It's obviously hot on the heels of Prelude, which came out last year. If anybody's wondering on the differences between the two, was there a reason that you separated the tracks the way you did, or was it just a
Yeah,
case?
it was all intentional. I think originally we had a plan to release it as an album, but I think as an indie band and like for the first thing coming out right now, we just wanted to kind of break things up and have something to kind of filter throughout the year as we kind of find our feet and kind of figure out the release schedules for everything and just I think just take our time with the release of it. I think people digest music so differently now anyway. There's no real dire rush for it to be a full album, but also means that as we kind of, I guess, progress as a band, like having those songs out, seeing the reaction, but also working on these solitude versions, like these alternative versions of songs, we can kind of build up the next chapter for the next release. So while we have the next three songs ready, I think at that point we'll have a few more written as well, and then it'll kind of come together in a bit more of a kind of a unique way for us. I think I think it was just too early for us to do an album. So having it like this, and it just means that we can kind of break them down into kind of episodic kind of themes as well, and
Mm.
just touching on different kind of areas of, I guess, mental health and just kind of giving different scopes of the record. Because I do think that each EP has like a category of like three songs. And I do think they all kind of sit together. There's like each three sit in their own space together quite naturally.
I was gonna say, like when we last spoke, you'd just released Haunted at the time, and then, like you say, you were talking about releasing it as an album. You were kind enough to send me as one here then, but I can completely see why you would have divided that up. And there's some real epic pieces, and I think that almost makes it in a day and age where, I mean, I will happily sit and put on a whole. You know, I like my progressive side of things as well, so I'll quite happily sit and listen and soak up a whole thing. But in a day and age where some people are less inclined to do that, I think that makes sense to break it down a little sometimes, I guess. But it's sounding epic, mate. It really is. I mean,
Thanks, man. It was blessed. Like when we were trying to figure out what song to open with, we're like, well, I think because we've got the EP thing, we don't have to necessarily go like, right, let's do the radio song, let's do the high energy song. Opening up with Your Love on the EP was just
that's a great.
so much fun.
I, I love the fact that it kind of has a nice little nod to your sort of more bluesier roots and the sort of first half of the song. And and I was saying, no, this is cool. And I'd almost forgotten about that track because it was a little while since obviously we spoke last night. And I gave it this through. And then you like you say that you just get that crescendo and it just builds up into that sort of epic in the second half, and it just sounds brilliant. Love it.
Oh, thanks, bud. I mean, it's honestly, I think live is one of my favorite ones. We originally kind of had the whole intro arrange where, I'd do the tapping and Sam would play the guitar part, but then it got live. We're like, it just felt on the CD. I love it. I think live, we were like, actually, this is a moment where I can just play the guitar by myself and just sing. So it's quite a different, I guess, a different way of engaging with that song. And, it just means that the whole thing kind of opens up with the lyric, like, your love is a noose around my neck. And it's just such a, I don't know. I just love the lyric of that song a lot, and it's so cathartic to sing, but also like it's one of those songs live that it's nice that we've kind of found that separation from the CD to the live show. Like it's nice. It kind of helps give its song its own identity for the CD, but also for what we do when we perform it to kind of make you kind of focus on the lyrics and just the performance more rather than just the introduction, which is on the EP, which has a big tap in arrangement, which I've had written for like maybe it's like 10 years. I think I've had that little intro thing, and it's never been a song. And I'm like, I've tried it on stuff, and I'm like, just nothing's really vibing with this intro, and I absolutely love it. Like it's such a, I just couldn't quite get the atmosphere to kind of continue after that. And then when Your Love came together, all of a sudden this intro, I was like, I wonder if this would sit naturally. I wonder if this would work and kind of lead into the song. And it just all of a sudden they collided in such a beautiful way. And like to actually finally have that part be part of a song that doesn't feel like I've squeezed it in. It feels like it actually sets up the atmosphere. It's so rewarding.
That's wicked, man. It's good that, like you say, you've had that for a while, and for that to be, especially if you were like really vibe on it yourself, and you can't. I can imagine the frustration, and there's nothing worse when you're trying to like crowbar a piece in because you like it. It never sits right. It's never 100% there. So kudos on you
No.
in the control not to try and crowbar it in, because I'm not sure I would have necessarily. I think I'd have been like, This is a folk song. I
Yeah.
don't care how it's going in.
Yeah, man, like because I had it like before Rave and I even started as well, and like it just was never going to sit with any of that stuff. It just didn't ever feel right. So yeah, it was definitely rewarding when we finally had that moment of like it can sit in, and it just helped set up the journey of that song. I think like it kind of it teases along the line of it being a bit more of a delicate song and a bit more of a beautiful kind of theme, and that's where like the more the lyric being quite dark from the get-go, it kind of sets the mood very differently to how it's kind of started with. And the whole song starts kind of decaying as it progresses, where sounds get uglier, like the piano comes in, but then there's just nasty sounds. I think we really want to kind of play between that, the beauty and the ugly, like and that's kind of like the falling apart of a relationship where you still kind of see these sweet sides that kind of think you're pulling in, but there's all this just dissonant, just disaster that's just completely surrounding and encompassing that song, and that's why it all starts falling apart, and gets more intense, and the sounds get fuzzier, the sounds get uglier, and it's really that kind of battle of like recognizing the dominant thing is actually the negativity. Like there is a beautiful aspect to it, but it definitely, as the song progresses, like everything just gets uglier, and it's that thing of like really this is the overbearing thing, that this person is absolutely toxic for you, and completely the wrong person to be in your life.
I mean, when we were talking last, we were obviously a lot of the songs by Your Own Admission are. I'm going to get blinded by that song. A lot of your songs by Animation was really about your own experience with your own mental health and everything, and it was all more of quite a cathartic process in going through it. Now that are further along, sort of further away from that point you were in your life when you wrote them, and obviously you had played a rock show. You played recently, like last weekend, played at Outlaw with Deggy, being over Outlaw weekend. How are you finding performing those songs? Are you managing to look for those with a bit more being further down the line? Is it more comfortable, or are you still pretty raw when you play them?
You know what? To be honest, when we were first starting to do it, I think it was very raw, and there was definitely some like it definitely was hard to sing a few of the points. I think I just struggled kind of not getting so attached to what they are about, and I think there was also a bit of a release of finally playing these songs live and performing them, like finally like seeing it kind of come to fruition. That it's been a lot of planning and a lot lining up to this band to kind of make it happen. So I think there was a lot of emotions at play with the whole thing to finally be doing it, and yeah, also just to be playing again. But I think there's songs that I think still get me, and I'm kind of okay with that. I think I can sing them and kind of enter those headspaces in a healthy way. Like I don't want to disassociate myself too much as a singer on stage from the songs and the content, because I feel like I'm then kind of reading someone else's story. I really want the show and the emotions to, be as transparent as possible. Like, I really want to lose myself and engage myself in it. I think when it came to Prelude, when we did the first EP, we did the Solitude versions of Haunted.
Yeah.
That was a demo vocal and a demo guitar. Actually, it was Wayne on guitar and a demo vocal. And I think at that point, I definitely couldn't sing it again. I think when we put the strings down and we looked at re-recording the vocals, I was actually really, really happy with them firstly. But then I was like, I wasn't really ready to enter that space. And I think there's definitely perspective on it all, and I think, but yeah, I think there's a lot more to kind of go into with it for myself. I think I'm still kind of digging into kind of things, and as I'm kind of on the other side of those songs, I'm finding more things that I can progress with, and hopefully put into songs and put into music, and kind of help kind of map my way out and find it myself in a new perspective from it. And I think these songs, yeah, I think I am in a healthy standpoint to them, but I think I'll want to keep that connection and keep that depth so that it's a properly honest show.
This thing, isn't it? It's that balance, isn't it? I think that you don't want to be going up there and taking yourself back to a point where it's going to be sort of detrimental to your own mental health, but that's because that's kind of defies the point. But equally, if
Yes.
you haven't got that connection to them, then it's almost pointless playing. I remember seeing a thing with
Yeah.
Clapton years ago in an interview, and he said, he stopped playing Tears in Heaven because he stopped feeling the emotion about it. He knew that people
Mm.
wanted him to play it, but he didn't feel like he had to keep being guilty and sorry for, obviously the subject matter of that song. So I imagine
Yeah.
it's a similar thing, but equally, it must be nice to get that sort of or one of the term exercise in that of getting those songs out there live.
Yeah, I think so. It definitely is. You know, and I've got a good support group around me as well. Like I think they recognize. I think it was the Newark show where we played our first kind of headline gig, kind of to kind of get us ready for Winter's End. I think that's when it was, I think, all a bit too raw. And I think that's when, like, you know, friends recognize it and, like, you know, checking in on me, and like I'm like, yeah, okay. I just needed to kind of sing that first round and get them kind of out of my headspace and perform them, and then, you know, kind of see it from the other side. So I think, yeah, I think good people around definitely makes a big difference. And yeah, it's you want to touch into it, but you don't want to lose yourself inside the kind of the content of what it is about.
Definitely. When you were writing them all at once, was there one song in particular that set off the trajectory of everything else, or did they all sort of flow together?
No, I think I think Haunted made us go back because there were quite a few songs already recorded, and then Haunted was one that made us go back to all the other, or go back to the songs and kind of rethink them, and like, yeah, just making sure the sounds were right. And I think we kind of understood really a bit, I think, confidently about what we were really going for as a band and what we are going for as a sound, and kind of committing to it. So I think Haunted really kind of changed the landscape for us. I think it changed our perspective on what we're going for with, you know, fuzzes or synth sounds and, you know, overtones, and making sure that, like, I think because originally some of the stuff was a lot cleaner and a lot sweeter sounding. I think it had like nicer guitar tones and nicer instrumentation. And we recognized that, like, I think with Haunted having the lyrical content being what it was,
Yeah.
and we amplified that instead of, and I think that made us look back and go, you know, songs like, you know, Your Love actually had cleaner guitars, so we actually ended up kind of actually tweaking them a little bit to give them that rougher sensibility that suits really the kind of the atmosphere of the song. I think that was one of the main things. I think Haunted was a huge platform to recognize where we're really going as a band, what the sonics are going to be like, and kind of finding that balance of, you know, that honesty and that rawness without feeling underproduced or under kind of, you know, you're not giving it enough
Yeah.
underneath it to really elevate the songs.
Oh, fair play, man. Fair play. Like the second track on the EP though, Everything You Wanted. Are you bringing that out as the single? Is that right when that gets released?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, because we're doing a physical only release, so we're kind of just we're putting it out there on well, we're putting it out there on YouTube for people to listen to. But I think the way that the streaming platforms are, we're just kind of wanting to avoid them for the just for the short term as an indie band. It's like, I mean, it's great to have them, but people actually buying the CDs, you know, we're going to create a download code and everything like that. It makes a huge difference for us, far more than a streaming platform does. And, you know, there's songs there's Haunted, there are tracks there to listen to for people to check us out, but we really want to kind of keep that in our own pockets for now. But yeah, Everything You Want is going to be the lead, like kind of the lead song for the EP. It's that shorter song, and, you know, it's not quite as dark in theme, so it's a bit more of a you know, all right, you know, respite from being everything being, you know, dark and gloomy.
Oh, nice one, man. So you saying talking about the physical release there. Am I right in thinking that I saw online that you're doing vinyl for this EP as well, eh?
Yes, yeah, we are. Like we're doing them as pre-orders because right now we're kind of just testing the water to see what kind of quantities are going for, and like we've got, I think we did a pre-order of vinyl. We did 100 pre-order. We've got at the moment we've got 15 left from the pre-order, which is just ace. Yeah, it's been fantastic. So it's nice to do because we've got so many, you know, we've got so many plans for the whole thing throughout the year. It's nice that we can kind of keep rolling out the vinyls and, you know, working with a company to kind of do something unique with the vinyl, you know, patterns, because that's the joys of it. Like, you can do so much, and vinyls are just where it's at. I think we learned, like, from the first round of vinyl, because of wanting us wanting to make it exclusive. Hard thing with an EP, it's 4 tracks. You're going to charge so much for a vinyl, and I think we wanted to create amazing artwork, have the splatter vinyl, and do the lyric sheet. But we've actually, you know, unfortunately, by the time we actually got the manufacturing process sorted out, we lose money. So I don't know. So that first round of vinyl that sold out for Prelude, it's which is ready on the 13th of June now. Somehow we figured out that we've actually, because I wanted to make it so exclusive by adding all the extra stuff, but not having enough tracks to really charge enough, we've lost money on the vinyl. But it's wicked to have it out there, and it's a learning curve. Like, I couldn't believe it when I was like, oh yeah, we've definitely calculated that wrong. So, but it is what it is. Like, it's nice to have music out there, and the CD we do make money, and we've learned from that. So then that's why the next vinyl is a couple of pound more expensive, and, you know, that helps actually pay for itself.
Yeah. It's all a learning curve, mate. I've done that.
Yeah.
All done. I think the first T-shirt design I did for Just Push Play, I just sort of put it out there, and then went and got prices. And the company I had at the time, not the same one I got now, different. I moved away from them strangely enough, but they came back with their saying, "Oh yeah, that'll be X," and I'm like, "Okay, so we've made no money on the T-shirts."
Yeah, it happens.
I know you're feeling well. But you were going on about the Solitude Sessions versions of tracks that you got. On this, you've got the version of Sinking Ship. So for anyone who's not aware of the Solitude Sessions that you've done across these EPs, did you want to tell them a bit about it and how they came about?
Yeah, so we work well currently we're working with a cello player called Jo Quayle, who's phenomenal in her own right. She's actually going to be on tour soon. We're going to go and see her. She's playing in Nottingham shortly as well.
Cool.
Um, yeah, it's the first headline tour, and she's everything with an electric cello, and she creates loops and does all this just nasty soundscapes, and she's just a stunning player. And Wayne toured with her with another band, and
Oh,
we were
wicked.
looking at doing something a little bit different, and for Haunted actually. And we got in touch with them and said, "Hey, would you be interested in putting a string arrangement together for this if we put something together for you?" And we kind of at that point discussed about doing something different with the songs. That means that we can kind of reimagine them or kind of change the focus on them. And specifically with the Solitude Sessions, is that because the lyric is so important for the songs. I think sometimes lyrics can get lost in the rock, like when you get like the heavy riffs and the heavy drama. So we really wanted to isolate the vocal and really gravitate everything
Really
towards that being the
highlighted.
centerpiece.
Really highlighted.
Yeah, and that was the main thing. And so Jo Quayle she put the strings down on Haunted and made that first version. And then we discussed about doing the next song, which was Sinking Ship. And with Haunted, we gave Joe an acoustic and a vocal, which ended up being the what's on the record actually. But for Sinking Ship, we said, here's the song, do whatever you like, and give us a completely new perspective on the whole thing. So she sent us like I think like 40 tracks of different layers of sounds and soundscapes and percussion and all sorts, all with a cello. And then we took that on in Logic and then just kind of saw her arrangement, made some tweaks, then started kind of adding stuff onto it that we thought that it needed, or taking stuff out, and really kind of playing with the what she kind of gave us as a platform. And that's when we had Sam Wood come and record all the guitar parts, which was wicked because he tours with us and he really is a part of the band. And we did a lot of everything before he even even really knew him. So having him contribute to the record was just wicked. And I think so all the guitars that you're hearing, like it's him, and the pedal steel as well, which is just
I
fantastic. And it
wonder
was
about Sam on pedal still when I heard that.
yeah.
Good
And
one.
slide, he killed it, man. I think it was like the fourth take, and that was the slide take. I remember Wayne and I were watching him, and we're like, when he did that fourth take, we just both looked at each other and went, "That's the one. Yep, that's the one." And we really saw the Sinking Ship, the Solitude version of that, as in two parts because she created this beautiful bridge section,
Mm.
which was nice. We teased it with everything. All the music drops out as she plays the strings, but then as the second chorus ends, there's this whole second half of the song which elevates the drama and of the lyric, and I think it helps paint the lyrical Sinking Ship in a much more, I guess like a sad kind of light. Like I think the Sinking Ship on Prelude, the band version, the official version, has got more of a swagger about it, a bit more of an arrogance about it, and
Mm.
just a confidence in kind of saying goodbye to whoever this person in particular is. And I think with Solitude version of Sinking Ship, we really want to kind of change the tone of it and really kind of show there's a little bit more behind the whole lyric rather than just saying bugger off.
It's fair enough. But you also, yeah, I was going to ask about it anyway, but you brought him up then, so we might as well talk about Sam. Uh, how did Sam come in to be in the live shows? Because obviously, it amazes me that Sam's got any time to do anything, and he's got his classic car business. He's obviously do work in. I know Toby's been on his travels, so Wayward Son's on downtime, but so he just recently just joined the Black Star Rider ranks, and now and also joining yourself. So how did that all come to be, man?
Actually, from my partner Hannah, she recommended Sam. She was constantly telling us you should try Sam Wood as a guitarist. We were looking for a guitarist. We weren't
Does it
sure
kind of
where we were going
almost
to go
have
with
it
it.
in mind to get another guitarist in then?
Yeah, it was always in mind. Like, I think we knew that the show had to have another guitarist to it. I really wanted to kind of take the pressure off me as a rhythm player, and really wanted to make sure that I'm making time for the vocals. And there's a lot of layers of guitars that were like, we definitely need someone else to come in and change the field up a little bit. And I wanted the show to be bigger, and I didn't. And we had a few people in mind, but then my Hannah kind of said, kept saying Sam, so we went to Wayward Sun's show and just got to meet him. And to be honest, like sat down the table, I felt like I knew him already. Like he was just
He's got a
such a
vibe
dude.
about him. I was the same. The first time I met him, I felt like, and I had to say to myself, "No, I haven't known you for years. Like this
Yeah,
is you always immediately want to tell Sam everything about your life. That's the kind of guy you
yeah. He's a proper diffusing character, and I think, and he's just so positive. And I think it was really good for us. And obviously got to watch him play, and I'm like, yeah, okay, he's a monster player. Let's do a show together. Let's see if he's interested. And he was up for it. And we had we had rehearsals. We got everything set up and did the first show at the Tram Shed for the
Yeah.
Steelhouse away day. And it just was wicked. I think because Wayne and we're dark. I guess darker. I guess like there's a lot of things going on. I think Sam really offset that backstage as well, which is fantastic. Like I think he brought a lot of positivity, and he's a lot more laid back about it. I think Wayne and I sometimes can be pretty intense with the show and making sure that we're getting everything just right. And 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 I think Sam just helps like kind of like calms all that kind of tension down as well. And it's just been it's wicked. It's like a little family when we have on tour with us now, and it's so nice. Like I think we're all excited by it and excited by what the show is offering and what we're doing as a band and how it's all kind of coming together. And yeah, it's we're very lucky to have Sam because he is way busy. But yeah, and he's a dude and a wicked player, and it's nice that I can let him take lead guitar parts, and I can just worry about singing for some sections, and he's just ripping off on the side. And watching him come alive to these songs, it's wicked seeing someone else add fire to them. That I've not really had that before. Usually when I write and sing them, I'm playing the guitar, so I can relate to what I'm singing about. So having someone else take that lyric and take that drama and elevate it, it's sick to watch. He's phenomenal.
I was going to say, have you found that? Because obviously, like you say, obviously in Raven Eye, you were doing all the guitar works. So when you were taking those parts, it was solely you. Well, I appreciate the other guys might have been involved in the writing and everything, but for that section of guitars and vocals that you're doing, you've now got Sam coming in to, like you say, take that and put his spin on it as any guitarist would while they're playing a part and doing how they would do it, taking to another level.
Yeah, I think what's so great about Sam as a guitar player is that he's very I think he's just very connected with his emotional state. I think, which is I think you never really feel like you're getting a series of licks, a series of scales or anything like that. I think he makes his choices for the music, which is incredible, and I think that's very unique as a guitar player. And I think that's where we struck the jackpot really, because I think you know, the guitar playing. I've seen him play in we saw him in Black Star Riders and Wayward Sons, and he's a different guitarist for each band. Like he's working for the songs, and especially with stuff like what there's a live thing we stole off someone from when we played the 100 Club supporting the answer, and it was like Sam cam. It was just Sam's a camera just watching him the whole time and watching him just take off on the solo. But like it's so connected within the music. And I think that's where Sam's strength is. Like, I think that's why it felt natural and it feels so great to be on stage with because I can trust that. I know that he's not just adding flair for the sake of entertaining. He's really adding heart to the solo and his musical his choices.
Nice one, man. How were those shows with the Answer? Because I'm a big Answer fan, and unfortunately, like as you know, I've changed jobs recently, and it's involved college courses and stuff. But so I've not managed to catch them since they reformed. Unfortunately, I'm hoping to get to this run of dates they've just announced for October, November time. But how are the shows, man?
Oh, fantastic! They're wicked dudes as well. All really friendly. Like it was just nice for us because it's first tour for us as well to figure stuff out and make sure that we can actually play these songs properly at all. And they were so welcoming to us and they killed it. Like just a wicked bunch of dudes in a killer band. Like they were on fire, and I think you could tell there was a lot of energy and excitement for the fact that they were back doing it and with a wicked record, alongside them as well.
So their new record, Sundown, is fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah. It's a proper like it feels like proper answer. Like you can tell like the fire's back for the whole thing. It's just killed it live.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I once saw them live twice in one night. Uh, we went against this when when they first came out with like the Rise record, and me and my friends were at uni at the time, and we went down from Norwich to go see him at the Bloomsbury Ballroom Theatre in London. And then round the corner from it, there was like a blues bar, and we decided, we'll just go drinking there until like the last train back to Norwich or whatever. And as we walked in, because it was around the corner, the answer came into the blues room bar. They just finished around the corner, and then there was like an open mic night. So then they got up and did like, I don't know, 3 or 4 like old blues numbers in this place, and not everyone else in the bar, I think, was completely unaware that this, they were just still rising through the ranks then, and I think everyone was completely unaware that these 4 Irish lads had just got up and just paid their own gig around the corner. So we ended up drinking and chatting with them and missing our train back to Norwich, but never mind. we got out, oh god, yeah, we got out of this blues room bar, and we're like, I was telling my mate Chaz, and I'm like, dude, what's the time? And he's like, it's about 4 in the morning, and I'm like, brilliant, well, that's the train gone.
Yeah.
Had to hang around Camden for the early hours of the morning, which was an interesting journey, but that's another story. But no, it's great. And you also played recently, well, last weekend, in fact, with Deggy's Outlaw Weekend. That again, sadly missed that because of these that got on the minute of this course. But I love Deggy to bits, and again, looked like an absolutely killer show. And Hannah was very kind enough to secretly take a photo of someone wearing a Just Push Play t-shirt and send it to me. So I appreciate it.
Yes, I saw that. I think we were sitting at the merch. We saw Just Push Play t-shirt. Yeah, she did manage to sneak a good photo in of that.
I was cooking in the kitchen, and I just thought, oh, Hannah's messages, and I'm like, oh, where's she seen that? And I thought, oh yeah, she's out Outlaw Weekend with Deggy. So that looked like a great weekend, though, man.
It was, yeah, it was ace. It's just nice to be doing it, and like there was just. Deggy's such a dude. Like, he's just such a wicked, genuine person. It's such a privilege to kind of, that he wanted us on it. And, he really is a solid person and a really honest guy as well. Like, there's not many people quite like Deggy. He's a very unique character. Outlaw Fest is Deggy Fest, really. Like, if you ended up calling it Deg Fest, you'd be like, yeah, it's totally fine.
And the thing is, like, Deggy's that kind of person that if they did change it to Deggy Fest, I think everybody would just go, yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe it'd sell out even faster. Like,
just for by association. So have you got any more? I mean, am I right in thinking you're doing Steelhouse?
No. We're selling there. We're going to be taking a jewelry there to sell. But we're currently just finalizing a headline tour, and that's what should be ready to be announced, hopefully at the end of next week. But that's what we're kind of just talking through and kind of finalizing everything at the moment. So there aren't any shows because we're kind of trying to wrap up this headline run to be able to announce it.
Oh, wicked. Well, tell people to keep an eye out for that then. So hopefully, we say the end of next week that you'd have that sorted, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, fingers crossed. We're just still kind of finalizing the last one, but we're kind of just taking it everywhere. We're going as wide as we can. I mean, there'll always be a place that we're not playing that someone will ask us why we're not playing. That's just like the standard that comes with every tour announcement. We're not playing it.
You'll always get it. You always get, you'll be playing, I don't know, you'll be playing Norwich and someone will say, why aren't you playing Ipswich? Or
yeah.
You could be playing in someone's back garden and they'll say, why aren't you playing next door? It's just this, the way it goes. But yeah,
the joys of a tour poster.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not as easy. It's just I saw something recently with the answer actually when they announced this run of dates, and it's the same sort of thing saying, and someone put, oh, why are you ignoring Cornwall? And they put on saying, well, we're not ignoring Cornwall. It's just these were all the venues that were available in this period of time where we could, realistically and logistics and everything else could do it. So that's where we're touring. And it's like, I don't think some people understand. It is a massive pain in the ass. You can't, it's not just, oh, well, we'll just join up the dots and work. Unless you're Iron Maiden and you've got your own private plane, then you can do it. But if you're
there's so many variables to it. Yeah, Cornwall's not exactly a passing place either, as great as it would be to play there. Like, it's not a place that you pass through. It's not part of a run, but there's so many things involved with its venues, budgets, hires, all the things and availabilities as well within that period of time. I think you just don't see, you just see the tours, you just see the dates, you don't see the kind of logistics and everything that goes around behind it to kind of get it to the place of where it is. But that's just the way. I think it's just the way it's always been, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, man. And the irony being is that when me and Joe went on holiday in Cornwall last year, as we were driving on our way, we got home and then realised that Cornwall Rocks was on the weekend that we came back. So we were I had a message from Aaron of These Wicked Rivers who was playing, and he said, "Oh mate, I've seen you and Joe in Cornwall. We're playing in Lou tonight." And I'm like, "Just come home." It's me and Joe thinking, "Oh man, we could have another 2 nights in Cornwall and caught up with Aaron and everyone." But never mind. So we'll tell people to keep their eyes on the dates for the live dates and everything, man. But what else have you got lined up for the rest of the year, dude?
Well, right now it's the EP. Like we're kind of focusing on the release of that, putting the single out for that before we work on the next Solitude sessions as well. We've got a few things in mind. With Joe, we kind of said, look, we want to do part kind of one of the Solitude sessions with you. So we're aiming to do 4, possibly 5 songs. The last song might be something completely different. So we're waiting for her. We kind of said to her for the next one, hey, here's the whole album, have listened to it, see which song you think you could do something with, and then let's go from that and find a new way of building from it. I think we're trying with all the Solitude stuff, we're just trying not to repeat ourselves, and with the whole thing is that it's just trying to be as ambitious as we can with each song and treat it very differently. So it's not just another acoustic and strings. It's and that's what that Sinking Ship version was. Is just right. What can we do? I think we just don't want to be predictable in our decisions with what we're doing, and trying to push ourselves. So like, because really a Sinking Ship, the Solitude version of Sinking Ship ended up becoming like a 7-day kind of piece of music, really, because it was only meant to be a day thing we can kind of sit through and stuff. But then what Joe sent us was so big, ambitious. We're like, right, okay, we kind of got to rethink how we're doing it all. And so it's writing. The main thing now is why we've got these 3 songs. We kind of built the platforms of what we are sonically and where we're going for. So writing, we've got our whole system at home as well. So we're going to go do a practice in a venue and record the whole thing and start crafting and looking at the whole show and seeing what gaps are missing, because we really see this as there's not really much talking. The whole thing is it's more about the atmosphere, and we really want to find ways of making sure that it stays immersed in that whole space rather than because just like, especially because we have interludes created as well. So like between songs, if we're tuning up, there's a whole soundscape that sets up the next song, and we're really trying to find ways of accelerating that even more and trying to do more with the songs and then what's in between them as well as what's on them, so that it is just fully immersed. There's no real break or silence where the band's taking water. There's something to kind of lose yourself in the whole atmosphere. So we've got a lot of crafting really to kind of, now we've found our feet with it all and kind of know where we're going with it all, and we're quite confident with it now. I think after getting a tour, getting the confidence, we're like, right, okay, we know what we need to be doing now. So the next step is really taking the show to another level, and we're looking at a rig as well that we can program our lighting for as well. Like this is a show for us. It's not just we're trying to make this a lot bigger than just 3 guys on stage. It's a whole atmosphere and a whole a lot more to it, and a lot, which is demanding and exhausting for us as we're trying to kind of figure out as we go, and definitely leaves more room for things potentially to go wrong, but it's so much fun doing it this way.
Oh, nice one, man. I mean, like those interludes that you're talking about there between the tracks, certainly, especially when I heard it as a whole album that you're initially looking at releasing, certainly, like you say, bring it all together. And so how were you looking at sort of potentially recreating that live? Are you looking at playing those pieces? Are you looking at having those as sort of instrumental interludes in the background, or?
Yeah, so we have that, like, so like when syncing, like currently, like when I'm trying to think which song finishes. I think, well, let's just say roughly. I think it's like when song Sinking Ship finishes, there's a whole break, and there's like a minute interlude of just like soundscapes and atmosphere of Haunted. And like I've used the tracks and samples and sounds from Haunted to kind of create the atmosphere of the song before we even get started. And at that point, we're tuning up to keep the show moving, but also just make sure that we're all in tune, firstly, because there's a lot of tunings throughout the show, but it means that it just stays soaked in it. And that's something that, we're working on actual big interlude sections that are with us playing as well, because those are just in the speakers. They're not with us playing. We start kind of joining in towards the end, but we're next going to be looking at doing some instrumental sections that are also breaking in between it. So it just really feels like quite a consistent, fluid performance rather than stop saying, "Hey everyone, how you doing?" Blah blah blah. I think it doesn't work. Like, I think we did our first show when we did one of our first shows with it. I talked a lot, and it loses that sense, like, especially when naturally on stage, I kind of tend to go for the more funnier side of things. I just reach for that because I want to entertain. I want people to laugh, and stuff like that. And it doesn't work. I'm going to try and make some jokes, and all of a sudden, then I'm singing "Your Love," but where it's like, saying, I open up with "Your love as a noose around my neck," and before that, people are laughing about me being an idiot. It just doesn't. There's no connection there. So that's why it's really important for us that we're just doing everything to set up that mood and that atmosphere before the song comes in, so that you're already immersed in it. So by the time we come in with the band and we come in kicking, you've already in that headspace to kind of be open for the song.
That's cool, man. As you know, like with the release of this, we're doing a full takeover show, so we are going to play all the songs off the EP on it. But what I did want to get from yourself, mate, is some requests from you. So we will fill up the rest of the gaps with some choices of yours. So any song off here that you'd like us to play, and of course, if you think of any, once we stop recording, by all means, send them across, dude, and we'll fill those in.
The Day I Tried to Live, Soundgarden, is like
one of my favorite Soundgarden songs. I'm so
absolutely, I love it.
So glad you chose that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, do you want me to email you some songs then, or do you want me to?
Yeah, email them through, dude. Yeah. If you want to send things, I mean, realistically, we've got 4 songs. We'll play some Wayward Sons or Black Star Riders for Sam as well. I'll be in an outfit. Stuff from Wayne. Maybe play a bit of the Answers. You've been on shows with them recently. But yeah, if you just list a dozen or so songs and just we'll just fill them up. Do a proper takeover.
Yes, man. Yeah, I love that. I'll do that. I've got plenty of songs I can send you. I'll try and make sure they're appropriate. Like they're not like just dullheads. I'll keep them excited.
Wicked, sounds good, buddy. And that, like I say, we are going to play all 4 songs throughout the course of this takeover show. At the beginning of the interview, I'm going to play Everything You Want, with it being the lead single as such. But what song off the EP? Bear in mind, it doesn't matter too much because we are going to play everything. But what song off the EP would you like us to play at the end of the interview?
Oh, I think I think the Solitude session of Sinking Ship would be pretty sick. I was going to say Your Love, but I'm like, actually, the way the Solitude version of Sinking Ship ends is pretty epic, and I think it's a good way to close it off.
All right, buddy, we'll do that. Oli, thanks for your time, man. It's been good to catch up with you, dude.
Thanks, pal. That's really good. I hope you're doing all right, man. You take it easy.
Cheers, buddy. Appreciate it.